streaming live on Facebook.
Yay, hello, Facebook peeps.
Hey, now I know that it usually takes a minute for anyone to join, but I don't want to just sit here doing nothing during that.
No way. We are not waiting for the world to catch up. We are going to have some fun. You know it. Oh, look, you're live. I got to share this. Boom, ba-doom, boom, boom. Share to newsfeed. I am sharing this show to my newsfeed, and I'm going to say, check out our new show.
All right, I see that we are live, so I should be able to see, like if any, also should be able to see, just like you, if anyone comments, although I can't see like who's, when people come in, like who's there or anything like that, unless they comment. I don't know.
So if you're commenting, please say hi, because we are getting the bugs and the kinks worked out of our new show, which is starting right now. I just need to make sure I have it muted on my device so that it doesn't give us any feedback. How's everybody doing today? Huh? Cheri, I'm excited for this show. I know you're excited, aren't you?
I'm very excited.
And seriously, let's tell the people what today's show is all about.
All right. Well, what today specifically is about, or what our show is about?
Our show, just our show starting today.
The name of our show is Scrutiny. And this is where, well, let's introduce ourselves.
Okay, yes, let's do.
My name's Cheri Hardman. I'm a comedian, and I do a show also called Heavy Petting with Cheri Hardman. And this is my BFF, Andy Vargo.
Well, hello. I'm Andy Vargo. I have Own Your Awkward is my brand. You can kind of see it on my shirt here. And I also do comedy, and I do a little bit of motivational speaking and life coaching and writing. And I just try to, help people with their life and see where it goes. But also, it's fun to entertain people, which is what Cheri and I love doing together.
Right. So we've been talking about doing this. Well, not that long. We've kind of toyed with the idea before, but I wanted it to be something that would serve both of us, that other people would find interesting. And Andy and I spend a lot of time talking about relationships, not necessarily dating, but just relationships with other people. Sometimes it's in the form of gossip. Sometimes it's in the form of shit talking. But sometimes it's in the form of analyzing relationships of other people and our own.
It can get deep. It can be catty. It can be whatever it is.
Yeah. And the other thing is that I watch a lot of reality TV, and I have a lot to say about these relationships of the people on the shows. But then when I try to talk to Andy about it, he doesn't know who I'm talking about.
I don't watch any reality TV, so I don't have a clue who she's talking about.
So I'm not going to necessarily do a play-by-play, but there are some relationships that I think other people are interested in that I would like to recap a little bit, and maybe you could give your take on what the relationship sounds like to you.
Yeah, it's an outsider's perspective. It's like if you were a sporty kind of person, Cheri'd be giving you the play-by-play on, the Seahawks making a home run, and I'd be over here going, okay, wait, does that mean that they got through the goal or they didn't, or what?
Who cares? I don't know. As soon as you said sports, my brain just zoned right out.
Okay.
That's the way it works.
Sorry, bad analogy. I was just trying to get the guys on board.
Okay. Well, come on. We both know better ways to get guys on board.
Anyway, she just knows I want to get guys on board. Anyway.
I forgot what I was thinking about saying.
Oh, Cheri, did you get the list of the code names that I sent you for the people we normally talk about?
No, but that's a good idea, because I actually thought about that. Like, we got to be careful what we say, because some of the people that we talk about on a regular basis might be watching.
It's okay.
It's not like we really talk bad about people, but I mean, we're friends. We talk every day, and we say what we feel. And so, sometimes.
Well, sometimes they're just world events that just happen and you're like, oh my gosh, how is that going on? Or
Just
why
our
are they still with
observations.
that dude? Huh?
Just our observations.
Yes, which is what we're sharing here with you today. And if you have something, if you have a story you want to tell that you're like, you want our take on, then please send it in to us. Cheri set up an email address so we're efficient, so it can go right to the email address. Cheri, will you please tell them the email address?
It is Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy at gmail.com. Now, Andy complained that that was too long of an email, but I tried Scrutiny and it was already taken. And so then I thought, well, I'll just put our names in there. So,
and it's awesome, and I'm happy and gracious and grateful.
I'm glad that I put my name first. So
yeah, ladies first.
Yeah. So if you have like, Andy, part of what Andy does is life coaching. So if you have any, like, he's the best at giving advice. Like, no, you are. Like, if I really want a balanced look at something, you're the person that I go to. So if people want relationship advice, they could ask questions anonymously. I mean, it's just an email,
Yeah, and in the email, please state if you would like your name shouted out or not, because we can go either way. If you want the fame and fortune that goes along with being mentioned on a show on Facebook and YouTube that is seen by millions, then let us know and we'll give you that notoriety. And if you don't want anybody to know that maybe you're having that little feeling about that situation that you want discussed, then, we can be discreet.
Yep. And if you have a particular celebrity or show that you think is worth discussing, we could dig into that too.
Yeah, and direct those comments to Cheri because she knows about them and I don't know about celebrities or shows.
We're gonna be teaching Andy everything from like base level, but that's okay.
And I should mention I'm a little bit gay for those that don't know me. And so Cheri is always like, how do you not know some of these cultural references that she's bringing up?
Like Andy Cohen, come on. He didn't know who Andy Cohen was. And then I say Bravo, and he's like, he doesn't even watch Bravo. Now, I don't mean to be stereotypical, but you need to gay it up a little bit, Andy, sometimes, I think.
I'm working. You're my coach here. So Cheri, why don't you tell the people about some of these shows that you watch? I know that you watch The Desperate Housewives of New York and The Desperate Housewives of Beverly Hills. Or aren't there like different cities?
They're not Desperate Housewives. The Real Housewives of New York City is the best. Real Housewives of New York, Real Housewives of Orange County, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't watch any of the other enterprises. I could probably be talked into it if somebody really wanted.
What do you mean enterprises? Like, are there more housewife shows?
There's Atlanta and maybe Dallas, and maybe there's a Florida one. I don't know. I get confused. Oh, New Jersey. But, you can only watch so much TV. Okay. Then the other shows that I also might be discussing are 90 Day Fiancé in all of its forms. Do you know, this is actually going to become a bit at some point, but did you know that not only is 90 Day Fiancé a show, but they have 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, 90 Day Fiancé the other way. Then you can watch an episode of 90 Day Fiancé, and then right after that, there's an episode of some people that used to be on 90 Day Fiancé watching the episode that you just watched and talking about it.
Oh my God. Reality TV is bad enough. Who wants to watch people talking about reality TV?
This girl right here. Like, I just watch an episode and it's like, oh, it's the same episode again. Oh, but these guys are talking about it. I got to see what they have to say. So I have imaginary friends that I'm watching the show with. Maybe this might help a little bit with that problem.
So 90 Day Fiancé, all these housewives. Huh?
Today, my focus, I would like to focus on something because I was actually really upset by something that I saw on Sister Wives.
Okay.
And I want to talk about that with you.
And what city are the Sister Wives in? Is it Sister Wives of Dallas Sister Wives.
No, it's not. No, this is something different. This is not Bravo. This is TLC, I think. Sister Wives, they started out in Utah, right? Is that where Mormons live?
Well,
I mean,
Mormons do. I know. So this is the educational part of the show. So Mormons actually live throughout the world in different regions. Their headquarters is in Salt Lake City as a religion. So stereotypically.
And then, well, see, first they all, okay. Let me start from the very beginning. I don't worry, I'm not going to bore. I'll bore some of you, but I'll try not to make it boring. This is just to catch you
very
up.
Beginning, like Joseph Smith, very beginning?
Very beginning of Sister Wives.
Okay, so not the Mormons.
So there's a guy named Cody, and he has 4 wives. Okay, so they believe in plural marriage, right? So let me show you a picture of them. I can share my screen to show you.
Now,
Wives.
In full disclosure, I do have to say I have seen a few episodes of Sister Wives back in the day. I was married for a spell, and my wife watched this show, so I've seen a few episodes.
Oh my God, look. So this is Cody, the husband. Can you see my thing swirling around his head? I can see
your thing swirling, yep.
And then this is Mary, his first wife.
Okay.
And then I think Janelle was the second wife. And then Christine was the third wife. And then Robin was the fourth wife. But look at Janelle's necklace.
Oh.
They're almost identical.
Wow, did you plan that?
No, I just noticed it. So anyway, but here's the short take on this is that basically when the fourth wife came along, she was a lot younger than the first 3. They're getting kind of long in the tooth, you know. So the new young hussy comes in, and all of a sudden Cody's acting different, like a man would act when all of a sudden he's got a new wife to live with in domestic harmony. And she was young enough to still have babies and stuff, and the other one, you know, anyway. So he was only, you know, you can only be married legally to one person. What?
Right. American style, yes. So not only are there wives involved, but there's children involved.
Yeah, that like as of right now, there's like 18 kids altogether from the 4 wives.
But this is not 18 kids and counting.
No.
That's a different show with 1 wife.
Yeah, and I don't watch those, so don't worry. We don't have to learn about them.
Okay.
Okay. So, but he was married to Mary, his first wife. But then when Robin, number 4, comes along, she had kids from a previous marriage. He wanted to adopt them, and they told him it'd probably be better if you guys were legally married. So he divorced Mary so he could marry Robin legally.
Okay, but divorced just on paper and stayed in the same house, like, right?
We're just saying legally.
Legally, yeah, but
legally divorced, but legally married.
Relationship-wise, they all stayed together.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So
this wasn't
okay. Here's the deal: is that if you've been the main wife or the first wife or the only legal wife all along, there's got to be. Wouldn't you think there's got to be some sense of being the queen bee, kind of?
I would think so. Because I feel this way in life. Whatever the first thing is, that's what always feels like the rule, right? Like the first person in a friendship, if we're friends and a third person comes in, they kind of have to absorb into our established boundaries and our rules. So yeah, you're kind of that, the territory, the boundaries, how things go, what fits in, has to fit into that mold.
Right.
And I feel like that even, you know, when I started my career, I was in grocery, and I remember transferring from store to store. And the first time I got transferred, everything that they did at the next store wasn't quite right because it wasn't how we did it at the first store. And I saw that from other people who got transferred in, because it's like, well, that's not how we used to do it. It's like, well, yeah, because that's how you were trained. So you think it's the right way because it's the first way. So the first time we're exposed to something, that always has to be the right way in our mind.
Right.
So yes, wife number 1 gets a little leeway for that.
I mean, and I don't know if that's true, but I know if I was wife number 1 and all of a sudden I was kind of being kicked to the curb for wife number 4, even if I was a participant in it, there's still got to be a part of me where that didn't feel good.
Well, and also how does it feel for number 2 and 3? Because they didn't even, it doesn't sound like they didn't have that chance. They were like, I would almost feel skipped over. Like, I never got the paper.
Right. And well, and not only that, but I forgot what I was going to say. Give me a minute.
Okay.
I'm old.
Wife number 1, Mary, wife number 1, be in the lead. Not only that.
Oh,
but
it was just like how he treated number 4 was very different.
Oh.
He was very giddy and happy, just extra happy. I would have wanted to slap the crap out of him. Like, you weren't this happy before she came along, you know. I mean,
Right.
And everybody, like, social media was saying, like, oh, he likes Robin way better than the other ones, you know. So anyway, so in this process, Mary, the original wife, started kind of feeling left out and separate from the group. And she kind of separated. She lived by herself. Her kids had moved out. And they all had their own houses. By this time, they were living in Vegas in like a cul-de-sac. And they each had their own house. But they were boom, boom, boom.
Gotcha.
So Mary starts having a flirtation with someone on the internet that she believes is a man that's interested in her and is saying all the right things and everything. Well, it turns out it was a woman who was really trying to scam her. So it caused a big deal. You know, it was like infidelity of a sort, even though there was no physical infidelity.
It became a big deal, not because of the catfishing, but just because it became found out. Was that the deal?
Yeah, well, yeah. And then the catfishing on top of it was this woman like kind of threatening and just not, you know, it became like a big deal. And then the media found out, of course. I mean, the media is going to find out when you're on a reality show, you don't have any secrets.
Right.
That was dumb on Mary's part, for sure. But this is where it brings it to where I want to talk about, because I don't want to pass any judgment, you know. But it was Mary and Cody's 30th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And it was they were filming in the middle of COVID, so they couldn't really go anywhere. And he's really been separated from her. She said they hadn't gone on a date since their 29th anniversary. So it's been a year that they even, and, you know, apparently not sleeping together or anything like that. But then.
Right, because there is that time in a relationship, especially with the way the last year has gone, where you may not have gone on a date for a year, but if they're also not even having a dinner together or having any interaction, I mean, I think that's an important distinction to make too, because the last year people are like, well, who has gone on a date in the last year? But if you're not even, you know, he's got 3 other houses to sleep in and he's not coming to yours. I just got the Three's Company song, "Come and Knock on My Door."
I've been waiting for you. Well, anyway, so she wants to move forward and try and like get a spark and get back together. And she's been kind of like testing the waters, and he's just totally ignoring her. But this is their anniversary. They're on a date. They go on a picnic.
Okay.
And she says something like, it's our first date in a year, you know. And he says, basically like, well, I guess if we had wanted to spend time together, we would. He goes, I guess we're in a place where it doesn't matter that much.
Oh.
And she's like, well, it matters to me, you know. Let's see.
Did you go rewatch the episode?
I did, because I wanted to write, because I was so disturbed by what he said.
Yeah.
And Dave was too when he watched it, but when I like tried to think of exactly what it was, so I wanted to write it down.
Well, there is that thought that where people will say, you know, you might not remember what someone says, but you remember how they make you feel. And
right. And I felt really bad. So he said, we miss the idea of us. We don't miss each other. And she's like, well, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
So he's actually saying these things about as if he's claiming to know how she feels and take ownership of that, or basically not give her the chance to say how she feels.
Right.
But which honestly, that is kind of the design of that whole relationship, right? Because there's polyamorous relationships, which can be very Hard to understand if you're not in that
Yeah.
in a realm of that lifestyle. But I've met enough people who live that way and had conversations with them to understand it a lot more, to where a polyamorous relationship in its truest and best form is where you have that harmony between different people. And you and I might have one relationship that has its things that we enjoy together, but then you and Dave have your relationship that you have that you enjoy, and in reality, we are all in polyamorous relationships with the world.
Are you trying to say you want to have a threesome with me and Dave?
Well, polyamory doesn't have to mean that we're always doing things together. I mean, I'm just saying. But
anyway.
But the thing is, with this particular relationship, it really isn't that. It almost gives a bad view to a polyamorous type thing, because it's really more of a poly dictatorship of him saying, I mean, this is the impression I get, is this is what I want for my world as the man. And so I have this wife, this wife, this wife, and this wife. And now that I'm done valuing you in that way, I'm disregarding you. And if he's basically assigning his feelings to her by saying, no, this is
right,
what we might miss, and not giving her a chance to voice.
Right. And then he said, I'm not missing this relationship. And you're not courting me, he said to her.
So is he expecting her to be basically kissing his ass and begging for his attention?
I don't know. And then she says, well, I've been waiting for you. And he's like, well, I'm not coming. Like,
wow.
And then he said there's a lack of real interest. There's a lack of real interest. And then he says he's just now realizing that there's been some pain in all of his wife's relationships with him.
Okay.
And if you've been married for 30 years or within 30 years, you've been married to 4 different women, you're just now realizing that those women experience some form of pain from this. Like, how dense are you?
Isn't that usually like a year 1 lesson in marriage? That, I mean, and I guess, what's interesting, I'm curious, what is the relationship with the different women like between each other? Like, I know you mentioned that Mary had distanced herself, but are they friends? Or do they really act like, are they sisters that hate each other? Are they sisters that are BFFs? Are they all?
They're different relationships with different wives, but I mean, I'd say they're friendly. They care about each other, but I think they also kind of realize, since they've been living in separate houses, they all started out in the same house, but since they're in separate houses, they're realizing, well, I kind of like it like this.
So are they kind of fantasizing about just having him all to themselves in the moments when he's with just them?
Well, they're kind of jealous when he's with the other wife, but they kind of like only having a man 1/4 of the time.
Oh, gotcha.
And then they can just do whatever they want. They've all said that. But then he started to complain about how one of his other wives, he's realizing she doesn't want them to all be together. She wants to kind of be separate. And he starts getting all mad about this.
Another wife other than Mary?
Yeah, a different wife. Because he wanted to build a big house for them to all move into, and she was like, I'm not. There's no way I'm doing that. So then he starts like getting all mad about this on his date, his anniversary date with Mary, about this other wife. And he says, and then he said to Mary, I'm not motivated by what we've had. I have I have a difficult time visualizing us as a family in the future.
Her specifically?
Your husband says that to you. I have a difficult time visualizing us as a family in the future.
You know what's interesting? It's really hard to see this as something that should be healthy and like I said, aside from being polyamorous, when someone treats you that way, to accept that into your life. And I guess that's why I was curious about the relationship between the different women, because I've been in situations, and I know a lot of people stay in relationships because of all of the pieces of the relationship that aren't necessarily that person. A lot of times it's maybe your sister-in-law is your best friend, and your in-laws, your mother and father-in-law maybe do things for you that your parents never did, or maybe you never had parents, or your parents have passed away young, whatever it is, that you see all these things that represent things that you will lose if you aren't in that relationship. And so that's why I was wondering, like, is Mary afraid to leave, or does she not want to go because then she, you know, her neighbors, her family, everything is tied to that. But it doesn't sound like there's a reason for her to stay there.
Well, it's you got to remember, it's steeped in their religion.
Mm-hmm.
And she set out when she married Cody. They knew they were going to be a polyamorous family.
That was the plan from the beginning.
A polygamous family, yeah. And that was their plan. That was their vision. And she still has that vision. She still has that religious belief that it should be that way. So there's that, you know.
But is she allowed to have a husband other than him?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you know, there's no show called Brother Husbands. I mean, maybe there is. I don't think so.
I'd probably watch.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, then he said maybe all his wives should leave him and find out what really makes them happy instead of badgering him.
So he's bothered by them having feelings.
Right. And then guess what she says?
What?
I really just feel like kissing you right now just to see what you would do. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Ooh. Yeah.
And then he looks at her and says, happy anniversary, Mary. And then that's how they ended it. But it's just like, if my husband was saying that stuff to me, my heart would be broken, and she wants to kiss him. Like, what is wrong?
Well, to me, it's a sign. Like, I just look at that and I think how broken she really must be, or how much confidence she must not have that the more he pulls away and the more that he pushes her down, that she's going to beg for more from him.
Ugh.
And that's sad. I mean, I get why people watch this, though, because if you can watch something that is that much of a train wreck, then you're actually like, you know what? My husband's not so bad.
Well, you know,
or I'm single. Maybe I don't want that.
This is season 15.
Wow.
So I've been watching these guys for, I don't think a season is a year.
I don't know.
I don't think it's been going.
I know I saw a few episodes back when I was married and living the straight life and everything. And so that was, 5, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That came out 5 years ago.
So maybe.
So, but I don't know how long it had been on at that point, but it was at that point, I think these people were all in one house. But
now Dave and I were watching this in bed last night, and we're both codependent. Like, we feel other people's feelings. People call it an empath or whatever. Basically, it's codependency in my book. So we feel other people's feelings, and we're watching this, and we're both just going, oh, this is so hard to watch. And then Dave really was mad at Cody. I was more like, I don't know. I just don't know why someone would set themselves up to be in that kind of a position. But like I said, I wasn't raised that way. A lot of them were raised that way. Their parents were that way, and their grandparents.
Well, and that's the thing is, if you are raised in a scenario where something looks normal, and the decision that like Mary would have made to get in this relationship would have been years ago, 30 years ago at least. If it's, I don't know if it's 30 years of marriage or being together, but if they may have been together a couple years before that even, and so she would have been much younger. And I think we make decisions in life based on what is normal as we're raised. And if we don't ever challenge that or break that, sometimes what happens is we cement ourselves into that reality. And then years and years down the road, we start to feel maybe some discomfort in that place. And if it's a religious belief, we may cling to it. We may think, I'm not going to come out of that. But if it's something where we do change our belief, the further down the tracks we get, the harder it is to undo it. I mean, I know I'm just for myself, trying to not be gay the first half of my life. And then realizing that I probably didn't have a choice but to come out, but then thinking, well, now I have 3 kids and a wife, and it's not just my life that I have to consider anymore. And then you try to, hold that together until you realize, you know what, I'm not giving the best of myself to somebody because I'm not being the best, and they're not giving the best of them to me because I'm not demanding that respect. So I do need to undo this. But then all of a sudden, there's just so much more to consider. So I don't know, but like you said, if it's a religious thing, she might just want it to work as it is. I don't know.
And I don't know, like, where she was mentally when she was, having this emotional affair, basically. But I mean, that happens. It happens. She was feeling replaced by another woman.
So what is it that draws you to this show?
Oh, that's a good question, because this is something I wanted to bring up. Is that I watched this show and I am judgmental. I am. Like, I watched this show and I'm like, these women are idiots. But the thing is, they're not idiots. They're all smart. They're strong. They really are. They're smart, strong women. I could be friends with any of them, except maybe Robin. But and it's just me looking at the screen going like, I don't understand why they're putting up with this. I mean, I can, say, oh, it's their religion or whatever, but it's like, how that is attractive to anyone, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot stand to watch my husband knowing that he's sleeping with 3 other women every week. The fuck no.
Right. Leaving you out of it. Well, and the thing too is there's a couple things at play too, right? Because there is the different lifestyle it's always kind of, it's like what the old circus freak shows. It's like so different from anything that the majority of the world is experiencing that we want to stop and look and see what's going on, and look through the window and be like, what's going on in the neighbor's house, right? Like that's intriguing enough. So the more different that lifestyle is, the more of a draw it's going to be. But then there's also the personalities at play, because you could have someone who could be much more loving to all of his wives than this guy sounds like he normally is, or now
let me just interrupt here to say that normally, like in the first few years, I thought Cody was a great guy. Thought he was a good dad. He was pretty easygoing. He would break his back to work and all that kind of stuff. I think it's only been the last few years that I really thought that the guy was a dick, so whether it was him that changed or me or just life, I don't know. But I just want to say that right here. I'm not just saying I think this guy's a dick. I do now, but I don't know.
Well, and I guess there's also that the more we get to know people, the more we see of people, the more chances we get to reinforce our feelings and see if there is opportunities for them to show that. But also, he's got to have had some fame and fortune from being on this show for, what did you say, 15 years? So that can change people too. So
yeah, last season I was just so sick and tired of them, or the season before. All they did all season was complain about these 4 houses that they were having built and how long it was taking. And I'm like, you guys are having 4 brand new houses built and you got the balls to get on TV and complain about it,
And you watched it the whole time?
Well, that's kind of where okay, yes, I did. But I will say that I watched it on DVR so that I could just zoom through the episodes really quickly.
Nice.
I didn't wait for the new one to come out and sit there with the popcorn. It was kind of like, well, I actually think I went back and watched them. I quit because that was irritating.
It was quarantine show.
Well, that's why I did kind of catch back up on it during quarantine. That's kind of what happened. I got kind of fallen off. But yeah, that's my big deal with this show, is how are such strong, intelligent, amazing women so stupid.
Well, and I think that's a really good point that you bring up, though, because I think that the easy judgment is to say, oh, you're just being taken advantage of, you're being, you know, you must be stupid, or you must be insecure or whatever to be in a situation. But if that truly is a religious belief that they believe in, and they're making the choice because each of them independently is running their own household, they're all, you know, there's a lot that goes into just having a successful life in any form. And so to have, you know, it's not about lack of intelligence, it's a choice. And so then it becomes a question of, you know, what are they thinking? Where do they see it going? Like, you know, when he says he doesn't see a certain thing growing as a family with one, you know, what are all four of them thinking in their head of what they see years down the road, or is there a master plan or not?
Well, and you know, maybe because as women, I think as a generality, but as women get older, they kind of get a little bit more minds of their own. And what do I really want with my life? And I think maybe they're all kind of coming into their own. They're probably all 40s, 50s, you know. Maybe they're all kind of, I don't want to say seeing the light, because I don't want to say that I think what they're doing is stupid, but you know, they're all kind of like, well, wait a minute, let's rethink this here. And it's all kind of hitting at everybody at the same time in a different way. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and discontent is contagious. You know, you're sitting in the office and you're totally fine at your job, and then someone starts complaining that, you know, the coffee isn't that great in the break room, and you're like, I never had a problem with it, but now that you mention it, it could be better.
It's negative energy spreading. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, and the problem with negative energy, it just spreads like a wildfire.
Okay. So before we move on, I'd like to say something nice about Sister Wives.
Oh, okay.
Some positive energy. They could use it.
Some positive energy out there.
I'm going to talk directly to the Sister Wives, because you know they're going to watch this.
You're going to have to tag them in this episode so they can get our...
Well, I think that the Sister Wives are amazing women. I could be friends with, and I'm just kidding about not wanting to be friends with Robin. She's all right. But Mary, Christine, and Janelle, I love the three of you especially. I think they are smart, amazing women, and I hope that they find the happiness that they deserve as they go into their golden years. Coming from one old woman to some budding older women on their way to being older women. Just like, if you're unhappy, just don't be unhappy, because I think you're all worth it.
And also, since they are watching and they're in Vegas, come see Cheri when she performs there.
But they're not in Vegas anymore. Now they're somewhere else.
But I'm sure they have friends they could come stay with in Vegas and come see you at a show, because you are a draw.
Right.
So.
Okay, so let's talk about what we're up to right now before we go.
Okay.
What do you got coming up?
What are you
excited about? What's up?
Oh my gosh, I'm just excited about so much stuff, and I should have a list, but I don't. I've just been doing so much with my business and getting my book placed in a few more places, which is Own Your Awkward Life Changes. It's the complete handbook for mastering change. If I was a better publicist, I would have it here and I would hold it up and be like, check this out. Maybe I'll do that in the future episode. And I've got a couple private things that I'm working on. I have the Toastmasters conference that I'll be giving a breakout session at, which is based on my book at the end of the month. And then I have another private event that I'm working on doing a gig for as well. So that's pretty exciting. Got to get some more comedy shows booked, but we're going to be on the open mic at the end of the month.
We are. That's going to be fun. I was hoping. That's what when I got the list today, I looked. I'm like, okay, are Andy and I together at all? And I was like, yes, because I meant to ask him. Hey, be sure to put us on the same. But then I thought,
nice.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm going to Vegas tomorrow.
Woohoo!
I am excited. I'm going tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to get up in the morning, get my hair done, and then go. And Wednesday night, April 7th, I will be in Vegas at Rick's Rollin' Barbecue. Steve McAnally presents. It's a fun show right there by the Pawn Stars. I've done that show before. It's a great venue. It's a great host. It's a great producer. It'll be fun. And yeah, I'm going to be hanging out a little bit with Carol Freeman. So that's going to be fun too.
Woohoo.
And yeah, do I have any other show? I've got a couple other shows, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So be sure, though, to always catch me on Tuesdays for Heavy Petting. I do mine live on Tuesdays. And what else? Is that it?
I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, this is our first time doing this. We actually just decided for sure that today that we are going to do this. So we're just flying by the seat of our pants today. So if you have any suggestions, if you have any email requests or anything, Scrutiny, SCRUTINY, with Cheri and Andy at gmail.com.
And tell us your stories. If there's a reality show you think Cheri needs to check out, because she would love to check out a new reality show, I think that would be fun too. Be like, Cheri, you got to go watch this episode, or specific episodes where you're like, did you see what happened? Mm-hmm. Because I bet you Cheri knows it if it's from one of those shows she mentioned, and then she can fill me in because I don't know who any of these people are, and
we're going to teach Andy the ways of celebrity gossip.
I don't think I want to get into this world. I don't want that much stuff in my head.
No, but I want you to just know enough that if I'm dying to talk to somebody about it, you at least have the basic knowledge of what I'm talking about. Okay. And we can talk about celebrity couples. You know, we could talk about Kim and Kanye getting divorced, or we could even talk about a relationship in a movie like that we've both like why didn't she in Titanic, why didn't she let him float on the door with her?
Okay, I did see that movie.
There was plenty of room for both of them, and I know that that's an old thing that people have talked about, but really, why do you think that is? We could talk about that, so you never know.
That's true.
Also, never mind. Okay, so what we're going to do with this is we're going to edit it. We don't really have like a logo or a theme song or anything. We're going to work on all that kind of stuff. So be patient with us. We'll put this up on Facebook and YouTube in its edited, beautiful form.
Woohoo! And you'll see another episode every week for a bit while we have this conversation. Right?
Okay,
exciting.
So.
Well, check back next week. Comment, share, email us with your ideas and your suggestions, and we are going to...
Oh, wait a minute. I see we have comments. Let's make sure.
Okay. We're going to address the comments. I tried to see it. I didn't see it, but mine...
It just now showed up. Like I've been watching the whole time. Oh, it's your friend Laura. She said she watched 3 episodes, but she hasn't seen a single housewife show. Well, we'll have to get you caught up, Laura. She saw on the internet that Cody and Mary barely speak now, which is basically true. Yeah. Mm. So she said Cody's an ass. I agree. My friend Tracy said that she's never watched Sister Wives. Well, we need to get her on the bandwagon. Yeah. I love to talk.
Okay. Did you say Tracy said that she's never seen?
Yes.
Sister Wives? Well, that's okay. I don't look down on you for that at all, Tracy.
Well, see, now this is why I need more friends. Who in the hell am I supposed to talk to? This is why the other day, my poor husband, like he's pretty macho, right? And the other day I heard him say, I don't like the way they're talking about Mary, just out of the blue on his own.
Was the show on or?
No.
Oh my God.
He knows all the housewives' names too. Like, well, I don't have anyone else to talk to about this kind of stuff. So,
okay. So this is really a support show for Cheri. She's like, if you're not going to watch it, I'm just going to make you be on a show with me, and I'm going to tell you all about it, and I'm going to tell you how bad it is that you don't know, and we'll just get public support.
There we go. All right.
All right. So now, do we know what show we're going to talk about next week, or will that be a surprise based on your viewing this week?
We don't know. So if you have my eyes are watering. It's allergy season, and I just got lash extensions.
They look beautiful.
Yeah. So they're reacting. No, I don't know.
We'll see how the emotions.
We'll see if we get any requests of shows. Tracy loves us. We love Tracy.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have any requests of what you would like us to watch or me to watch, then let us know.
But these housewife shows, those are, each one is a whole different show. It's not like 1 week they're here, 1 week they're there.
No. They're all different shows, and they're all like on different nights of the week and different seasons. So right now we're in between seasons.
Okay.
So I don't know who's starting up next. I've lost track.
Okay.
But you'll be the first to know, like when there's a new.
And maybe we'll get an update on, because there will be more Mary Cody drama.
There will be more Mary Cody drama. And there's a lot of housewives drama going on right now too. So
we may end up having a little update recap and then move on to the next.
Yeah, we're not going to always be talking about the same show. We might not even be talking about a show next week. Who knows?
We might not even be talking next week.
I feel like Mary now.
Oh God.
All right, this has been fun.
Would talk to a person like that.
Thanks to everyone who's been watching. Stay tuned. Bye.
Yeah, ciao.